Morrison Part 2. Probably speaking, the most famous and influential update the game has ever received. For some, the best update ever. For others, mid. For me, the beginning of a weird pattern in some dinos design. You see, Morrison Part 2 added 9 whole dinosaurs, 2 of which being the very first apex tier giants, Stegosaurus and Apatosaurus. And with this, the mastery requirements also arrived. For Apatosaurus, its only mastery requirement was Diplo, and for Stego, it's Kentro, and the newest addition to the Stegosaur roster, Dacentrurus, the most polarizing dinosaur in the game, not because of it being unbalanced. Sure, it needed some tweaking, but it was a relatively decent dinosaur for its price. The main issue, however, was that it was really, really boring. And it all started with this prickly boy. Why? Because everyone wanted Stego, so lots and lots of people were playing it. It wasn't rare to find large and multiple herds of Dacentrurus, and then that's when everyone realized, man, this sucks. And this didn't stop with Dacentrurus. It actually began with Diplo before the update. People wanted to get a Pato, so Diplos were everywhere going for masteries. And by word of mouth and experience, it was an awful experience. And it didn't stop there. Suko was the next to suffer from this. Also Old Yang, Iggy, and even Akko before its buffs. Actually, all Pseudoapexes suffer this. But why? Why are some of these dinos relegated to just be the last requirement to Apex dinosaur? Just what is the deal with Pseudoapexes? Let's get right into it, shall we? First and foremost, what is a pseudoapex? It's hard to really measure this. However, I usually follow these rules. It is in an apex tier, obviously. The dino must be either the last or second to last mastery requirement to the respective apex dino. It also should weigh more than 5 tons. These end up making dinos like Baby, Giganto, Alo, and Makimo not pseudos. I, however, make an exception for Yang, which weighs 3.9 tons. And it's because of it being able to take down apex tier dinos fairly reliably. Also because almost all Jurassic carnivores are relatively small. Diplodocus and Torvosaurus will become apex tier dinosaurs, which exclude them from being pseudos, even at the time of this video release. Now, with this explained, we can talk about this weird case. Pseudoapexes are weird in the sense of being the final stretch for getting the coveted apex dinos. However, ever since the release of true apexes, people started to realize the weird disparity in strength, viability, and fun factor in each and every pseudo. Being the best examples of this, Dacent, Iggy, and Suko for the bad, and Acro, Yang, and Paro for the good. Dacentrurus and Suchomimus especially are notorious for being the most painful and or tedious dinos to play. Of course, there are people who enjoy them, but it's way more common to see people actively talking about how boring they are to play, and this has some merit to it. If you've never played as Dacent or Suko, or weirdly enough Pachyrhino these days, you'll understand. But why these guys are considered some of the worst dinos to play? Well, Dacentrurus is really boring in both design and playability. It can get easily cheesed by just being a little bit away from it while chasing it if it starts to run, or just tank a hit and start hitting it, while Seeing that every single carnivore that is likely to be encountered, being this young Acron Torvo, are faster, and even though they can get outstunned, they can just try and bait one singular attack, and those 5 stamina you just used are your death sentence. Or, you can just tank a hit and bite your long, visible, and easily to hit neck and head. And even then, holding W while spamming M2 if you see some red damage numbers isn't the most riveting gameplay. Suko has a similar problem that it is the most noticeable. Suko is confused on what the hell it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a terrestrial hunter ? But also should be more close to water, like being more semi-aquatic, but even then it can't dive, just sprint a little bit. And even then, the official wiki says this. Okay, first of all, you can't really compare Suko and Dynamo Titan. Suko is a confused design and Dynamo is a hybrid between a bleeder and a crusher with the ability to drain stamina with its M2 attack. Also, there is literally nothing smaller than itself that it should hunt. And what should it hunt? Apparently, fish, Mahayangas, and Iguanodon. Oh, and also there was a time where Suko was supposed to hunt Dinosaurs. Yeah. Suko right now is more just a gatekeeper or a minor annoyance for smaller dinos that can easily outrun, outswim, or even just ignore it because Suko is the same speed as Dacent. And we gotta remember that Dacent is supposed to be a defensive dinosaur. So being in land isn't the best idea, but also the only use of water that Suko is as a way to run away, as it really gets hard countered there. But in land it just doesn't hit the mark of speed and stamina and power. Huh? They tried to make it as an all-rounder bleeder with balanced stats across the board, but if they min-maxed it for being a more terrestrial hunter instead of making it whatever it's supposed to be, it will feel better. But even then, Suko will still be dogwater to play because there is nothing to hunt in the floodplains. What everywhere can you find in the floodplain area? Well, just Dinosaurs. Iguanodon doesn't count. It is basically just a unicorn that is a better Dinosaurus hunter than any other Dinosaurus hunter. And maybe Diplos. And what about carnivores? If Suko can't be a herbivore hunter, maybe it's supposed to be a carnivore hunter. Well, literally every other semi-aquatic can dive away from it. And even if they couldn't, they are faster. You can even say that, yeah, maybe crocs, but crocs use slippery. And every single adult croc is faster using slippery than a sprinting Suko. Yeah, I think you can already see the problem. Almost every other carnivore is way faster or way stronger or have better ways of hunting, making Suko the worst semi-aquatic to play as in my opinion. And these problems can be translated to other Pseudoapexes in one way or another. Pachyrhinos are so oppressive in herds that you can't really find any action as it, and when alone, it can be chased fairly reliably. And after removing the social well-being from the game, you can barely find any Pachyrhinos in most servers, which is weird. Iguanodon has always been considered an endangered species because everyone knows how blatantly overpowered it is. So nobody, not even elder Dinosaurs, get close to you. And even then, Dinosaurs is way faster than you. So why play as something everyone avoids and you can never do anything? And even if you just wanted to farm, you have better options. And then we have a different side to the coin. Acro, Para, and Yang are the best looked upon Pseudoapexes in the entire game. Acro being the biggest carnivore and technically speaking the apex of its environment. So being the biggest and baddest always guarantees an active player base. Yang is the closest to a mid-tier than a Pseudoapex. It has also a lot of neat features that give it a varied gameplay. You want to be a scavenger? Yang. You want to be a solo bully? Yang. You want a pursuit predator that attacks at night? Yang. You want to be a strong as heck pack hunter with the single most powerful ability in the entire game? Yang. Its versatility gives a level of enjoyability that not many dinos have. And Para is basically a discounted Dinosaurus with the most varied moveset of any dinosaur in the game, with great mobility and bulk, rivaling the aforementioned duck. And, because it has the higher amounts of stats for the cost in number, it's an extremely popular dinosaur. Tanky, strong, fast, and durable means that, you can do whatever with it. And even if you die, you know that you had a great fight. Para is just so above and beyond many other carnivores in the game that you don't actually feel cheated when you die. You know you did a bad thing. This disparity is interesting to see because it just shows what people look when playing these dinos. They want power. They want an enjoyable fighting experience. They want something that doesn't actively punish them for choosing to play as that dinosaur. And, because it is mandatory to play as this for the Apex tier dinos, means that they will be spending a lot of time using them and learning them. And I'm going to tell you, I have never seen more than maybe 3 or 4 people that, say that Dacentrurus and Suko or Iggy are their favorite dinosaur to play as, when the Pseudoapex tier is the second most popular tier to play, just beyond the mid tiers. Really makes you think, huh? So, is there a way to help these quote-unquote bad pseudos? Well, it depends. Dacent really has no saving. It was bound to be simple, just a run-of-the-mill Stegosaurid that attacks with its tail while fleeing. Nothing new, and there is really nothing that can be done about it. Suko, however, could have some saving, especially once they change the maps in the future updates. They could rework it so that it would be a more terrestrial-oriented dino than just being, essentially worthless. And also being good against other herbivores. And even being able to threaten Iggy's, seeing that it will get downsized and hopefully change to be a brawler and not just Iwanheimer that destroys bloods. But Rhino, keep it that way. But please, give him better animations, please. Also, the removal of social well-being really made that many dinos that were so oppressive in herds became scarce, weirdly enough. Pseudos are an interesting group of dinos that lots of players enjoy, and also are basically obligatory to play for apexes. And even though half of them are underwhelming or with very low player bases, the other half has a high level of popularity within the community, either in a good way or a bad way. Also, even though I've been sounding a little bit negative and critical, I really don't mind seeing that some of these are in the weaker side. After all, not every dinosaur in the game can or have to be perfectly balanced. And people still find the quote-unquote bad dinosaurs enjoyable, and have been used as a training for the respective apexes or have become their mains. Or just KOS in the case of Pachyrhino. I know some passionate Dacent or Suko mains might get into my neck. However, I just need to tell you guys, I respect you. A good Dacentrurus or Suko are actually scary. Being able to fend off small packs of Acros or Yangs and take on groups of Torvos alone and even Spinos in groups respectively. I won't even try to say something good about Pachyrhino though. So, what's the deal with Pseudoapexes? Well, They are perfectly fine. Sure, some need some help, but for the most part, they are just fine. Anyway, that's all for today. Are you a Pachyrhino player and now I'm in your KOS list because of what I said? Put it down in the comments below. I read all of them. Have a good one and estoy mintiendo, los quiero jugadores de Pachyrhino.